Welcome to another episode of Miami Cop Talk. Visit us at MiamiCopTalk.com. With us is Robert Asencio and Raul Correa discussing the latest issues in public safety, law enforcement, what's in the news with invited guests. And again, visit us, help us grow our audience. We are one community, one voice. And let's get ready to start another episode of Miami Cop Talk. Welcome to another episode of Miami Cop Talk. We're happy to be here with you today. We're going to be talking about a few things. Robert, you want to go ahead and kick us off on our topic of the day?
Absolutely. So yesterday I was out there looking for gas, and like many people, I wait till I have a quarter tank of gas, and I hadn't been following the news, and I go out there and I go to one gas station, no gas, none of the pumps. I go to the next gas station, no pump. I finally find one after maybe visiting 4 or 5 other gas stations, and I see is that what encounters a line of people, and I see these people not only pumping gas into their car, but they have these red, gallons, like 5-gallon gas tanks in their cars, and one of the ladies was actually pumping gas into a 5-gallon gas tank. So what it hit me was, wow, the Colonial pipeline hack, and I think we should touch a little bit about that, because we heard from Mayor Cava, and Mayor Cava has promised, or her office promised, to get us a video pertaining to her statement that she provided in yesterday's press release to the public. No fears, because the gas supply in South Florida is not affected by the Colonial pipeline hack. I know that they've since started operations, but nevertheless, we still had a lot of people down here in South Florida panicking. It reminds me of the hurricanes. Did you experience the same, Raul?
Well, the first thing I thought of when I saw that there was an issue with gas was, do I have enough toilet paper? Because if you remember, there was an issue where people frantic about toilet paper, and I made the comment to a few friends. I go, man, if you run out of toilet paper, just make sure you go do number 2 before you take a shower, and you should be okay. But the fact of the matter is,
that's kind of nasty, brother. It
is nasty. It is nasty. But, not as nasty as seeing some lady on a video that was sent to me pumping gas into a plastic bag and then double bagging it and putting it into the trunk of her car. And I'm thinking, that's kind of bizarre. She's a driving bomb down the middle of the street with gas leaking on inside her trunk. I mean, we live in a hyperbolic age where everyone freaks out over any little thing. We see it, unfortunately, with what's going on with COVID. You got people that are 20 feet away from you and not wearing a mask, and people freak out. So the gas thing, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But when I start looking around, I went to BJ's and I see the lines. I go, whoa, apparently I'm in the minority. Everybody was freaking out over potentially not having gas.
And a little information about the pipeline, if I will. The Colonial pipeline extends from Houston to the port of New York. It runs about 5,500 miles.
Correct.
And it does not touch Florida. And it delivers about 40% of the fuel delivered in this country. That's a sizable operation. Which is about 2.5 million barrels, a day of fuel pumping through the lines. It's a massive operation. It was down for 6 days. The President of the United States came on yesterday and commented that the operation is back. They were resuming the flow of petroleum through the lines, or fuel, I should say, through the lines. And now we're back up and running. But yet here in South Florida, many people are beginning to, or had begun to panic. The interesting thing is, how does that relate to Miami Cop Talk, right?
Well, I think the way we tie it into Miami Cop Talk is that, policing our software capabilities and cybersecurity. And I think we're going to have someone come on the show in one of our next episodes that's going to be able to talk a little bit about that. But it goes to show you that we're living in a day and age where technology and computers run our lives more than we can imagine. Just because you say to yourself, why can't gas flow down a pipeline? What does the computers have to do with it? Someone sent me something really funny saying, can just someone turn the valve? I'm sure if you turn it to the left, it's loose. If you turn it to the right, it closes it, it opens as it closes. And I'm going, listen, computers run our lives. We're on a computer now with our Zoom episode here, Miami Cop Talk. People, if the electricity goes down, it's really interesting because they paid $5 million in ransom. The people from Colonial Pipeline, they paid $5 million in ransom to be able to get the pipeline back up and running, and they paid it in Bitcoin or in cryptocurrency. And for those, we're going to have a future show on cryptocurrency and how that impacts our day-to-day lives. But cryptocurrency is a phenomenon, a new monetary system that's taking over. I own a little bit of Bitcoin, very little, and that's what they use to pay the ransom. And then you start saying to yourself, then you have Elon Musk, the guy that has Tesla and all these other good stuff. He's saying he's not going to accept Bitcoin anymore. You could buy a car with Bitcoin. You could have bought a Tesla with Bitcoin, but not anymore. He says that Bitcoin impacts the environment at a massive level. When when someone hears how does a Bitcoin cryptocurrency impact the environment, because the massive amount of energy that you need in your computers, in your servers to mine what is needed to put you on the blockchain, blah blah blah. It's very technical. So the electricity and the energy needed for the servers and computers to run, to be able to generate the need for Bitcoin is massive, and that impacts the environment. So we're living in a complex world, so much so that most people don't know where their gas comes from. So, because like you just said, the Colonial Pipeline doesn't really affect South Florida. We get our gas from Port Everglades, and I got to give props to Mayor Cava, who gave a press conference and explained it fairly well. The fact is, most people don't know where the gas is coming from. They just know it's coming from the gas station. And when they see the news that there may be a gas shortage, they may not read the fine line that the gas shortage may be in some other part of the country. They figure it'll be here, and they run to the gas stations and start fueling up.
It's funny because my family began to text, right? And if you want to get information, certainly misinformation, get the families to start texting.
Oh yeah.
About 2 days ago, the family members began to text, and some more hilarious than others. But the point was, salgan a buscar gasolina, que no va a haber. Busquen el toilet paper, porque también el toilet paper, que fue lo que tú dijiste, se va a acabar. It's the panic, right? But here's something that's really interesting. How interconnected we are as society. You alluded to it a couple minutes ago, to the cyber system, right? So I was speaking to Commissioner Swearinger from FDLE, the Commissioner of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. And this was roughly about 3 years ago. I was at their headquarters, and I was speaking to him inside his cybercrime unit, which is minimally staffed, right? And I guess they depend on mostly their other agencies throughout the state. But what he was sharing with me, that at that time, roughly 3 years ago, that in a span of about 5 years, the internet operations, space on the internet had multiplied maybe 2 or 3 times. And it continues to expand on a daily basis. So what does that do to criminals? It opens up, the door for criminal minds to be very creative and hack. Broward County. We've all heard about these recent ransomware attacks. Well, what are those? Here we have the going back to Colonial Pipeline, you have a group called DarkSide, and they're linked to, I guess, being housed somewhere in Russia, Ukraine area of the world. But Broward County School District was also hacked, and those that perpetrated that crime were holding the school district's information, hostage for about $40 million. Well, Broward did not pay. Do you remember that, when Broward did not pay and what happened? I believe there's several lawsuits going right now because there was all kinds of sensitive information from maybe 10 years was actually released. That included employees' information, student information, but equally as important and critical to the Broward County School District's infrastructure were procurement documents and contracts that maybe were not, readily available or not desired by the district for the public to see. So there's a gobs and gobs of sensitive information out there, man. And
Oh,
what can
absolutely.
they do to, if they did that to the school district, what can they do that to us? How can they do that? Or what damage can they do to us?
Well, I get all kinds of ridiculous emails every now and then that say, if you don't send me this, we're going to expose whatever you've been doing online. And I'm like, I'm not that interesting of a guy. You could go ahead and expose whatever I did online. My concern would be when they start making things up and they start impacting our infrastructure through malware,
Yeah.
where it's not so much ransomware, it's they start putting viruses that impact our day-to-day living. Again, I believe that our next major front for terrorist attacks will be through our infrastructure, electrical grid, whatnot. If you slam the electrical grid in a portion of the United States, that'll end banking, that'll end, it'll be serious. It'll be serious. And I don't want to get anybody ideas out there, but the fact of the matter is, whoever's in charge of cybersecurity, step up your game, man. Step up your game. We can't have these, because I wonder who are these individuals on the dark web, creating ransomware to impact Colonial pipeline or what have you,
Yeah,
if they can maybe create something, because somebody was saying that the ransom that was paid is going to be given to charity. I don't know that may be the case.
well, how much will go to fortifying the operation? But Raul, when you mentioned about step up your game, and we're talking to law enforcement, and maybe in the private sector, because the private sector also has a vested interest, right? But I remember as I was on the police force and I was supervising stations or operations levels of police operations, and when you think about it, when you were running some sector of the police, whether it was a police station or at headquarters, cybersecurity was not anything that we didn't even staff, right? And if we had one detective, we had really, really good detective that went on to work with the Secret Service and the task force, and he made a name for himself in that discipline. But brother, other agencies up until recently, you talk about cyber detective, and people look at you like you're freaking deer in the headlights.
Correct. Yeah, and I know there's some federal agencies that actively recruit on college campuses because some of our young folks are more they're better versed in technology than some of the individuals that are running our government agencies. So we need help in that area. We really do. I mean, technology is a serious thing. It's a serious thing. And not to be partisan or anything like that, but whoever controls the flow of information through all social media platforms can basically shape the way people think one way or another. If we start hearing that going to McDonald's 3 times a day, it's good, it's the best nutritional meal that we could potentially have, 3 times a day McDonald's, and they start bombarding us with that information on social media, McDonald's is gonna, the lines you saw of people trying to get gas, that's what you'll see in the drive-through of McDonald's.
People believe what they hear. So remember the Social Dilemma?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's a new, well, it's fairly new. It just came back on Netflix program. I don't know if you've seen it. Those of you in the audience, we're on Miami Cop Talk. Visit us at MiamiCopTalk.com. But those of you that are listening to this, I don't know if you've seen the Miami show on Netflix called Startup. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. It deals around hacking, crime in Miami, good people. I don't know why they're painting Miami as a sexual town, because every other scene when the series starts is somebody having sex, but it in a non-revealing way, right? In a very respectful way. But the point is that deals with the startup of a crypto type currency programmer, right? Software network system, and they get hacked. And it really makes, not only does it highlight South Florida as the tech hub that we have been for a while, and now with Mayor Suarez and the city of Miami promoting it, and Mayor Cava at the county level, and others like Elon Musk, who's trashing douche. There's another currency that's called douche or douche, something like that. They're trashing it now, but a lot of this.
What's it called? What's it
I think
called?
it's called douche. Not to be.
No, no.
Not to be taken another way.
How do you? You're talking about Doge, Dogecoin,
Doge. Allow me to mispronounce this here.
Dogecoin. What do you think here? Dogecoin.
Well,
yeah, I like that.
They're trashing it, right? So the point is that Miami is really a center of advancing technology.
Oh yeah.
And law enforcement will play a big role in South Florida in maintaining the security guards that we need.
Absolutely.
Evolution.
And listen, and our recommendation here on Miami Cop Talk is this: make sure you keep your phones locked when you're not using them. If someone picks up your phone and it's not locked, they'll have access to. If you do online banking, if whatever your contacts are, keep your phones locked. You don't want to put your phone down and have somebody pick it up. Put it to a setting where it locks within 30 seconds, because some people it'll lock within an hour or whatever, but you put your phone down and picked it up, somebody has all your information. That's one. If you have little kids at home, listen, try to get a software program that protects your computers at home. When my daughters were little, I had I don't even know if it was called Canine Protection. It was a free software for parents. Don't even know if they're still around. I know there's one around that's called Custodio or something. You got to pay for it, but protect your computers at home. You don't want little kids having a pop-up of something, horrendous. We're living in interesting times. We have to adapt. We have to be ready. We have to be able to meet the things that come our way. And I believe that if we don't start getting more socially involved in groups that we can communicate with, it's going to be difficult. I know a lot of people are on Instagram, Facebook, you name it, YouTube, and it's become a way of life. It's become what is it? Google it. They tell you, go ahead and Google it. We have every information we can potentially need at the tip of our fingers through our phones, through the World Wide Web. Now, how accurate that information may be is, I highly encourage people to do their research. If I started a social media account saying that Robert Asencio is the best looking man in the world, I'm sure he would have tons of followers, but I would tell you to research that. Research that. Not everything you read on the internet is true. So, and I love the kid.
In this case it is. I am a very good looking man.
Yeah, in this case,
if I say so myself.
All right, but listen, you're listening to a special episode of Miami Cop Talk. Visit us on MiamiCopTalk.com. Shoot us an email. Let us know what you're thinking. If you want us to give you a shout out, let us know. Send us an email. We'll do shout outs for your birthday, for whatever it may be. We really want to have the community engagement. We pride ourselves here as being one community, one voice. So send us feedback. We really appreciate it. Also, we're going to start putting things on our website to help the community. We have a link to Crime Stoppers out there because it's horrible. It really is horrible what we see on a daily basis on the news. Crimes going unsolved, homicides that are occurring, and families that are hurting, victims that are devastated because they've lost a loved one. Crime Stoppers is out there, guys. Give them a call. They have rewards. It's a real deal. They will give you a reward if it leads to an arrest. And usually somebody knows something, like the catchphrase says, if you see something, say something. We want to be able to be another platform out there to help people do the right thing. MiamiCopTalk.com.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to an end of this episode. We hope you will continue to monitor, chime in with us. This conversation has been kind of loose, touching on the Colonial pipeline hack. But you know what? This is about you, right? So as we begin to move into our second month, the end of our second month on the air, and as we build out content, let's make it about you. and the information that's important to you, our viewers. In the near future, we will have some detectives. We will have some leaders, the community, both in public and private sectors that are stakeholders and have vested interest in ensuring that South Florida's police remain top-notch in the public safety arena. So with that, I'll say on my behalf, thank you for listening, and we hope to have you soon with us.
You have been listening to Miami Cop Talk. We hope you have enjoyed this episode, and visit us at MiamiCopTalk.com to get the latest on all our broadcasts. We want to thank our partners and sponsors that have made Miami Cop Talk possible. And on behalf of Robert Asencio and Raul Correa, we want to thank you for listening to Miami Cop Talk. Stay connected and visit us at MiamiCopTalk.com.